wanted to talk about the effort of trying. I feel like whenever you at least try, you go through your doubts and you think it over and over. But as soon as you put that effort in to actually try and to mess around and find out and to see if you like it or not, that's when the game changes and it's just like, wow, okay. And it can either be the best times of your life or the most miserable or it can be such a curveball. There was an incident recently just last month where I had the strongest feeling about something and I felt like it was going to go well and everything, so I did all the steps I need to do, right? Signed up, filled in the application, whatever, met the people and everything, made it so far to where I was actually doing the job, and this is all within a week. Just for by the end of that week for things to not for things to take a complete left and not go right, and for it to just not happen anymore, for it to come to an end. And I beat myself up over it for so long. I think for like 2 weeks I had beat myself up over it. Um, but once I started to eventually change my mindset around and I told myself, well, at least I tried, right? At least I found out and told myself like that I liked it. It wasn't bad until it was cool. And I feel like that is so important. It's just, just trying and seeing because like how are you really going to know if you don't try unless if you're really for sure or unless if and it's like a lot of things. It really depends on the context. But because if you're sure, then you're sure. But when I feel like there's just so many moments where um the doubts, the mind games creep in or whatever. But once I actually take initiative and I start building on that idea or I start whatever and I'm actually seeing it unfold or I'm seeing it come to life or I'm seeing how I feel about it, I see that I like it or I see how it makes me, uncomfortable, whatever. I feel like if anything, that's just like the total goal, the overall goal. Um, you know, there are so many things I still need to do and want to try, but I haven't yet. But I just know once I do, that will it would just give me so much more insight, not only about myself, but about, whatever I'm learning about. And that's what makes it more exciting too, is like the whole thing of learning. I love learning new things, but sometimes some new things can be boring, but that's okay because it might be important or it might be, it might come in handy. I really just want to become that type of person that knows, how am I trying to say this? That knows a little about a lot of things. I just want to become that type of person because, you never know when that information is going to come up. Um, but the effort to trying, I feel like is so important and uh a lot of times I'm gonna keep referring back to school because I feel like me being a student was one of my best qualities. And I can technically be a student for free with all this internet, that is out there and the things that are out there, the things that are on, the documentaries about nature or whatever, animals that are on Netflix or whatever. And yeah, I feel like it was the strongest, my best quality. And because I gave it a shot and I realized how much I kept enjoying after high school of school and just learning made me I feel like it's the reason why I kept at it as long as I did and it's the reason why, it just went the way it did for me. Because it really is just something about learning more about whatever you're going to school for and maybe even some things that you weren't going to school for but you have to get out the way for, for your credits. So I want to just take whatever that feeling and the things that I learned from that into like life in general because there's just so much out there. There's just too much out there. And I know not everything a human brain can comprehend and is supposed to know. So, I'm aware of that. But the things, that in terms of just like learning different cultures, learning a language, learning some music, whatever, like things like that I feel like I would be able to actually comprehend and know and actually have fun learning are the things that, makes makes it more exciting. Because at least I'm giving it a try. And sometimes I feel like it's just also a reminder to just not be so hard on myself. Because my thing is when I care about something so much, I'm going to automatically just beat myself up over it, especially if I failed, because I went into it caring about it. I went into it, being passionate about it, or just wanting things to work out. But not all the time things work out, and that's the whole point of trying to see what works and to see what fails, and to see, what sticks, so that way I can either continue with it or completely just drop it. Uh so yeah, and you know, there's just so much out there, and I'm still young, and it's like, why not? Why not just give it a go, and why not give it a try? Proceed with caution, of course, depending on what it is, because there are some adventurous things I would love to do, but just got to be aware and cautious, and do research. Um, but that's what makes life. It's just trying, at least just giving it a shot. Um, but yeah, I'm still working on the whole thing of trying not to be hard on myself, even if I am trying. And I feel like if I just start with not caring so much, going into it on like a surface based level or whatever, then if it doesn't work out, then okay, me mentally and emotionally beating myself up wouldn't happen as much or as hard. So yeah, the beauty and the effort to trying and just seeing what works. And then you just also never know who may come along too on that journey. Connections, there's just like so many benefits too, I feel like, with it. Like, oh, maybe this thing that I was crafting didn't work, but I met this person and they introduced me to them or whatever, and now it's like, I can contact them whenever, or we can make a project or something in the future, something, I don't know. Or maybe I had this really deep fear for performing on stage, but I did it and it went really well and it wasn't as bad. And because I tried and I seen the outcome and I lived it, gave me the validation to keep wanting to do it, or to keep, to keep trying, because that's really all it takes. Because how can you really know? Uh, if whatever you want to do with your life is going to work out if you don't give it a try. And this is something I'm feeling stuck with right now, even though I know it. And I feel like it's so funny how it works when you know something, whether if it's like something that you need to do, but yet something is still blocking you, which is yourself. And even if you know a certain information, it's like you still have that blockage, and that's where I'm sort of at now. um and I'm just slowly and surely want to like work my way into those things I really want to do. um and yeah, I really appreciate, I feel like it really do be like the little things. I'm all for like the small details, because when it comes down to like the smallest things of like just trying, it makes up for so much. Because I feel like just trying, just giving life a try, giving it a shot, and the things that possibly come with it is we can make up for so many memories, core memories, and just beautifulness. And I mean, obviously, not